Hello, and welcome to Notes from a Small, Cold, Dark, Miserable Island. If you're Anglophilic or Anglo-curious, we're here to teach you all about your new homeland. I'm Mike.
I am Matt, and we are back off half term.
Half term, yes. What'd you do for your half term?
Not a whole lot. Granny in her village
Out in the Shires?
out in the Shires outside of Cambridge had an open garden, which is a thing that happens all over England.
Brings all the hobbits to the yard?
And we did serve milkshakes, as a matter of fact. So Granny has an open garden. It's a charity walk. It happens all over England. I should have looked up the name of the association that sponsors it, but like your community, people with gardens that they're proud of can open them up, and then you can walk through and you pay a donation and you chat with your neighbors and you see their gardens and you say, what kind of soil is this? And then your kids and your in-laws.
Sandy soil. What kind of soil was it?
I was asked this, and I was like, "Bruh, I cannot
It's
help
the
you."
dirt kind.
I would love that.
Well, yeah. So my daughter, basically set up a lemonade stand, but it was a bougie lemonade stand with like elderflower cordials and raspberry rhubarb cordials, and I taught her and her little 4-year-old cousin like American style customer service, like how can I help you today, and have a nice day. And anyway, so that was kind of my, keeping the kids from running and screaming during the open garden. And so yeah, that was my half term.
I climbed the UK's biggest mountain with my family.
No worries,
Yeah,
just climbing the
just
biggest.
wanted
But
it's like the 2000th largest mountain in the world.
Okay.
It's not a very large mountain.
were you Hugh Grant, the Englishman who went up a hill? And...
We had a guide. This has been something that I wanted to do for a while, so I wanted to do it properly, and so I enlisted a guide. Shout out to Gary from Atlas Mountaineering.
Go, Gary.
He did not pay me to say this, but Gary was a stout vegan Scottish dude.
He's a stout vegan, or he is stout and
He's
also
stout
a vegan?
and also a vegan. He was very cheery and
Venn diagram there, stout vegans.
rattled away as
Okay.
we sort of hiked up. It took
Yeah.
us like 8 hours.
Was
to
that
get up and down.
motivational, or was it like,
I think so.
Gary,
Well,
give it a rest?
for my other half, it was definitely motivational. She wanted to prattle around. I just wanted to like stomp up in my boots and
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. We made it. We made it back up and back down again.
Congratulations. Another like naturey, not too commercial holiday break for you.
Yeah, I think so. We took the trains. It's although on the train back down, you would have enjoyed this because there was all these like Scottish people getting absolutely wasted
Mm-hmm.
on the train, returning back to Glasgow a couple of days after we hiked the mountain. It was 9:30 in the morning, and everybody had a bottle of wine. There was like Hindus and like some sort of like 50th birthday, and then like just these kids who were going to go to a rave. And
Yeah.
they were just like living it up. It
So
was
just all these
insane.
pockets of
was
little subcultures.
2 hours of just drunken Scottish people.
Congratulations.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that sort of broke the nature spell.
Yeah.
A little bit.
The other thing that I did, a great day out that I did on my kids' half term was I went to Cedars Park.
Cedars Park.
Cedars
Not
Park.
Cedar Point.
Not Cedar Point, the amazement park in Sandusky, Ohio.
Oh yeah, I
spent
love that amazement
spent
park.
many an hour there in my childhood. No, I went to Cedars Park for my dear friend Emily's daughter's birthday party, and
Woohoo.
that brings us to our guest sitting to my left,
Hi.
Emily Gann.
Hello. Yeah.
So it was your daughter's birthday party, and we came out to
was.
Cedars Park, which is a fantastic park. This is one of the things when I talk about like I want to try to like England this year. Mike, was the name of the park that we went to when we met up last month? Regent's
Regent's Park. Yeah.
Regent's Park, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Cedars Park. So,
Okay.
the parks of London is what I'm
Yeah,
endorsing right now. Cedars Park in what region? South?
So it's in Broxbourne, like Cheshunt area, basically. But it was originally the private home of, I think, one of the latter would have been Catherine Parr, I believe. It was originally her home given to her by Henry V. So, 8th, sorry, not 5th.
Yeah. One of the 6, if you.
One of the 6.
Like,
yeah.
5th of the 8th.
5th of the 8th, yeah. 5th of the 8th. One of the ones that wasn't survived. She survived, last one. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a beautiful park.
It's a beautiful
Everybody
park.
should go there.
Yeah. And your daughter turned 5,
6. The
Yeah.
big old, big
Well,
6. 6 going on 16.
The
Yeah.
years are churning through.
They are.
And just one of the it was a terrific party. My daughter had a great time,
Yay.
and we particularly enjoyed.
Oh, no. Yep.
Pass the Parcel,
Okay.
which is a British birthday party tradition. In Australia, it has been immortalized in an episode of Bluey, the Lucky's Dad's Rules.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Mike, you're giving us a quizzical look. Is Pass the
I
Parcel
know what
not a part of
Pass
your...
the Parcel is.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
Okay.
wondering why this
So
particular
this is
version was so
This was
Right.
controversial. It
Well,
looks like the looks on your
okay.
guys'
This is
faces.
Emily's first
All right.
Pass the
So-
Parcel preparation.
Yeah. So
So many popping peas.
the Pass the Parcel preparation, I needed to have rehearsed this a little bit more. So the night before, I realized I had never prepared a Pass the Parcel. I'm going to see how many peas I can get involved here. And
Possibly.
yeah, and I even had to Google it because I was like, I don't actually know how to do this. And my husband had said, we either do Lucky's Dad's Rule, which is there's one gift
One big, oh, that's awesome at the end.
or there's supposed to be a gift at every layer.
Yeah.
And my
like a Tootsie Roll.
So that
Right.
everybody,
Everybody
no
gets
hard
something.
feelings,
Yeah.
all the kids get something.
and my daughter was involved in this, and she said, "No, mommy, everybody needs something." So we had gone, to a Poundland, and we'd found little things that she thought all of her friends would like that were going to be there. She was really insistent that everybody gets something so that they could all then play with
Fair
it.
enough.
Right. And I was like, it's your birthday. Sure.
So not just like like we have done with my daughter, like a sticker
Yeah.
or a tattoo or a little bit of candy.
No,
or
she picked
something
out
small.
like coloring
Wrap of
books
heroin.
and right. That's later on in life, apparently.
Oh.
So she picked out things like bubble wands and coloring books and slime, things that are very awkward to wrap. And I suddenly realized, like, I had Christmas paper and some birthday paper, but then I just ran out of paper. And because there were supposed to be 14 kids at this party. So
Yeah.
this Pass the Parcel turned into like
You
a
didn't make a 14-layer Pass the Parcel.
but it was
Oh,
gigantic.
wow.
I mean, it was huge and it was heavy. And I'm like, this is
Unpassable.
awkward. Unpassable. It literally was unpassable. And then because I ran out of all the paper, the only thing I had left was tissue paper, which is not a good Pass the Parcel thing.
Wow. So you
Because a
had
kid will rip through
Like
tissue,
all of it.
multiple layers
Yeah,
of tissue paper
yeah.
with one claw.
Right.
like a boulder wrapped in
Yes,
tissue paper.
yeah. So until we got down to a Pass the Parcel acceptable passing level, I kind of had to I was the parcel passer. I had to like
Right.
walk around, and Matt is
like-
over there just like guffawing at me. I mean, not just
This is
that.
what friends do for each
Right,
other. Is
but-
they let you know when you're in an absurd
Right,
situation and you can take a step back
Yep.
and see yourself.
Yeah, and I fully accept the absurdity of the situation. My husband was sweating,
Yeah,
like he was because he was having to do the
Yeah, he was Lucky's
lamb,
dad, having
yeah.
to do the touchscreen pauses at the exact right
Right.
moment to make sure every kid.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
But
So-
Emily was the human
I was the human
spinning
mover.
wheel in the
Mhm.
middle, like
yeah,
doubled over,
yeah.
displaying the parcel to
Mhm.
these kids, and then it
It's
stopped on
okay.
you.
I totally accept it. Next year will be better.
It was a grand
But,
scene.
I do find it funny, and I I got made fun of by almost every mom that was
British
there as well.
person.
All the British people were like, "Oh, honey, this is not how you do this." And can we just talk about your Pass the Parcel? And I was like, wow, this is like a thing. I mean, for days after, this was a thing. And when I got back to school, some of my teacher friends that were there with their children were like, I just want to talk about your Pass the Parcel.
Like a full-on intervention.
Right. Yeah. And they actually sent me videos, like, just so you know, this is what should be in it. And I was like, wow, all right. So this is like,
Well,
this is a
take
thing.
it seriously.
Yeah. So now I know I've been schooled
Yeah.
on
Hey.
how to pass the parcel.
Well, that's why we brought you here.
Right.
We want to learn a little bit about the British education system.
Yeah.
And Emily is an actual British educator. No, wait, she's an American educator in the British system.
Yeah. I've morphed. I'm best of both worlds.
What's your what now are you okay, so let's get right into it.
Yep.
Are you do you have a year this year? Are you like the Senko?
No. So, okay, so my role is basically I am a year 3 teacher. It's my first year teaching year 3 for a couple of years, since 20 well, a couple of years ago.
Year 3, and I always forget. So that's
Grade 2.
second grade.
Yeah.
Seven,
So
age
the-
7 and
Second
8.
grade.
Yeah, so the best
In
way
the
to think
US.
about it is that in the UK, whenever they say 3, US means 2. It's weird. The grade level is the number below what we talk about.
Yeah, because my kids just moved, they sort of went up 2 years. It's always
Yeah.
they sort of like had to repeat the number,
Yeah.
obviously not the year.
That's and so
It's so
emasculating for
confusing
your
when it
boys
just-
as well. Like,
yeah,
"Oh, I've
but then
already
like
done that."
coming back here, then they skipped from my eldest from 8 to 10. I
Ah.
guess that's what it been.
Yeah.
So second grade, but that's a very lovely age, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah. I mean,
No comment.
so I think the funny thing when I talk about I've taught everywhere from age 5 all the way up to age 10 here. And I mean, kids are kids. They're just taller, So you're going to have the main kinds of things is just how you relate to those children, which I think that has changed over the years, just simply because children have changed. But yeah, you're always going to have your challenges.
Well, I guess fill us in on the background. So you were a teacher in the U.S. and tell us about when you
Yeah. So
came over and how you actually like made the adjustment.
Yeah.
oh, sure.
Hold on, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we need your
Really?
visa story. Fill us in about how you got that visa.
Oh, okay.
We have a segment.
I know. Apparently, the segue segment. Yeah. So I was teaching in Chicago. I taught in Chicago for 15 years. And at a certain point in time, I started traveling. And just kind of decided when I would travel, I would go to places like I worked in Guatemala for a while building houses, and then I would come back, and then I would go to other countries. And every time I went to another country, I would visit their schools. And I would talk to whoever would talk to me at the time. Like when I went to Ireland, I would go around and talk to the different head teachers and things at those schools, primarily because I wanted to know what education was like in other countries versus
Just
where
out of
I taught.
curiosity.
Yeah, basically. And most people were like, you want to come in and visit? And I was like, yes, I'm a teacher. This is my credentials. These are where I have. And so I started a blog kind of talking about how education was treated and how teachers were treated. I went to Norway and Denmark and did the same thing there. I was on holiday, but I always went to schools. And
There's a British phrase here, a busman's holiday. Have you come across this phrase? It's where you do things for your job.
yeah,
Where you're on holiday, but you do the same thing that you do on a job. And I don't know what the busman does. I guess the busman like drives a bus on his holiday.
And
Yeah.
and then he goes and gets
And
on
then
a
he goes-
bus
yeah.
to go somewhere.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think mine was just more morbid curiosity. I was just, I just really wanted to know because so many things have been going on in Chicago. I mean, the teacher strikes, and it was
and
just
you were
there's a lot.
part of the union,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Chicago. That's a
yeah, Chicago Teachers Union.
which is a like endlessly like there are battles going on
all the time. I had because I rode my bike all the time. I had like strike signs on the back of my bicycle, so I was like the strike bike, and I was like right around Chicago with my stuff. Yeah, and I was just really passionate about education, so I just wanted to know why and how it was so different. So that led me to kind of on a whim. It actually was a bit of a whim, just going, do you think I could actually work? I'm interested in what it's like in another country. I think the best way for me to know that is to move there. So I just started looking for jobs and applying, and based on kind of the places that I had worked and the children that I had worked with, I got an interview with a school that was kind of looking for someone who had worked in tougher areas, and had said, "Would you be willing to come over?" And yep. So it all happened actually quite quickly.
Yeah.
I think more it happened quicker than I think I was prepared for it to happen. So, but it was like, here, sell all of your things, get rid of your apartment, get 2 bags and a bicycle, and move to the UK. And yeah, that did happen in 2015.
Okay.
So I got a temporary work visa to go and work for this school, and that was my first school in the UK. And then once I kind of started, the actual landing and initiation process was difficult. I think just because I was hired to teach the equivalent of kindergarten or year one here, kindergarten in the States. I arrived and then was starting to teach the very next day. And so I got in on a Sunday, and it was like Monday was the very next day of school, or they'd already started. They'd have been in for one day. Actually, I think I got in on a Tuesday. And the woman who picked me up on the way to the school said, "Oh, by the way, you're not teaching year 1 anymore. And the head teacher who hired you is no longer working for the school. So there's a new head teacher, and she's put you in year 6.
Yo.
And I was like, and this was on the way to the school. And I went, right. So that's different. Cool.
Whoa.
I'm
Right.
jet lagged.
Whoa.
I'm going to be teaching year 6. I've never taught in this system before, because at least going from kindergarten in the States to year 1, kindergarten to kindergarten, like my brain was kind of like, I'm jet lagged, but I can handle this.
Yeah.
Going for a whole new curriculum, a whole new everything,
Watch all the kids.
all the kids, it was crazy. So I didn't really have I was staying with actually some Matt's sister-in-law, and didn't have a place to live, didn't have a bank account, because in this country, like, you can't get a bank account.
It's not so easy.
Not so easy. Like, you have to be in this country for a certain amount of time. So this is a hilarious segue of the story, but like, I had these paychecks from this school, and banks wouldn't let me open a bank account. And so I was like, oh, you know what? Screw it. So I just walked in, and I saw this guy there, and he was like, oh, I can't help you. And I just cried. I was like, you know what? I'm going to cry, because a woman crying in a British bank with this guy who looks so buttoned up, and it worked. And he immediately was like, oh, let's get you in a private room.
Level of
and I'll help you."
awkwardness.
Wow.
Hits
And-
the roof.
Listeners, this is a tip that you should
Cry.
absolutely
Just cry.
stamp in gold.
Make them
crying
feel
American.
awkward.
Yeah, and he
you'll
was-
get your way.
And he literally was like, oh, well, I'm so sorry. This is embarrassing. And I was like, well, it's actually not very embarrassing for me. It's probably more for you. But please give me a bank account. Like, I have all of this money that I want to be able
Yeah.
to use, and I can't do that. Yeah, it was awkward.
For listeners, it sounded like you sort of obtained this fairly well quickly. That it's easy. I'm assuming because there's a shortage of good qualified teachers. Is that the case still?
I think so. One, it's going to be very different for everybody based on their skill level and the things that they kind of, their history and things that they bring to the table. England is still one of those places that will take qualified teachers, and you just have to be determined to fill out all the paperwork. Like, there's a lot of paperwork, and to get your QTS or your qualified teacher status over here, it's just like paperwork after paperwork after paperwork, and putting all your ducks in a row. Once you've got that, then it's really just kind of getting the job and getting the visa. It's so much crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I can't even tell you.
You didn't necessarily have to have any additional training. You just had to fill out a lot
No,
of
because you've got your teacher
paper.
certification. It's just
Yeah.
going through the motions of getting it. You also have to accept that your pay is going to be less here. Like, that's how it's going to be. You can work your way up, but like, coming over, you need to adjust to that as well.
Sounds like a familiar story.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that they just are like, you're a teacher with a qualification there. It transfers even without additional training when there are differences between the systems.
I think especially for primary, it might be different for secondary.
Okay.
That's a bit out of my wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
But in my particular circumstance, I came with the qualifications and the experience that they needed at the time.
Yeah.
Especially
This particular school.
Yeah, and this
Did a particular school sponsored you, or
they did. So
Okay.
they'll sponsor you. And then that sponsorship lasts for a certain amount of time. After 3 years, you have to then reapply. And then you kind of, I then eventually went for citizenship because I needed to be out of that kind of yoke of paying for that.
What was that? What was that like that first year? I mean, it's, you renewed, you reapplied, you went for citizenship even after that first year started so like tumultuously.
Yeah. I think I'm just a bit of a glutton for punishment. I just wanted to see, I think I needed to kind of see it through.
Yeah.
Because that first year was so difficult.
And it had started like so quickly or like last minute. So you're like, this is not a standard. This is not the way it would usually go.
I mean, for me, it was a bit like, here's a really tall cliff and you don't know what's below. Jump off of it and hope that you are not, going to pass out or die. And I don't think that's the same way it is for everyone, but there are going to be challenges when you come in. Like, all right, my very first day teaching, right? I was used to working on my own. There was a lovely woman who was the aide, but the kids really knew her well. So I actually asked her to step out of the room the first day. I was like, look, these kids got to know it's me or nothing.
Yeah.
So, and apparently that was a great faux pas. Like I should not have done that. So, figuring out kind of how to build your bridges and communicate with people is a very difficult thing in general, but coming from a different culture where things that I say are taken as very like brusque or abrupt when I mean them not that way.
Totally. This is a thing we Americans face.
It's a constant thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we're being rude when we're actually just being direct and clear.
Exactly. And honest. And I think like I had to kind of adapt the idea of like, man, I'm going to have to eat a lot of crow, like in order to kind of make it through this first couple of months to figure this out. With my children, it was hilarious because my first day, I'm sitting there and I'm like writing on the board. Well, the date is written differently in UK schools than in US schools. So I was like, oh, right. Okay. So I'm going to have to figure this out. And then, because we even say the dates differently, not just the month is swapped, but like on the date in UK schools, you'll go in and you'll write Monday I don't know, what day is this? This is the, 8th, 9th? Where are we at? 9th?
It's, is it 6? Yesterday was 6.
We are recording this on the 7th.
Okay, 7th. Okay, so we would have to say it's Sunday the 7th of June instead of June 7th, and just those little tiny things. And then my kids came in for the first time and they were meeting me and they said, Miss, where should we put our homework? And I went, oh, can you just put it in the bin over there? And they all started cackling.
Yeah.
I was like, right. A bin is a basket in the US. A bin is a trash can here. And then stupidly, one of the pens exploded in my hand. And I said just to myself, I got it on my pants. And all the boys in the front row were like, missing pants. I was like, right, that's a thing. And then
you walked right into that one.
I did. Oh, it got worse. Like kids were asking me for rubbers, right?
Oh, and you were like,
no.
In
my brain, I was like, what in the world? I was like, what are they talking about?
Is really advanced here.
But I'm sitting here going, what are they talking about?
How old are you?
What could you mean? What could they mean? I was like, right, erasers. So, there's...
What does this rubber do?
Right, there's just lots of
things.
The
function of this rubber?
Well, if there's a mistake, this will prevent it. All right, keep talking.
So, it was a bit tricky, but I did stick it out. And there's lots of other things that are very different, like curriculum's very different and workload's very different. And
Can we take a quick pause and digression? Because this is a thing about you that I think is delightful. Somewhere along the line, you I don't know at which point, at which visa it was, but you lived the canal boat life in London for a bit.
Yeah. So I was living in Hackney, and I was living with multiple people, and because I had decided I wanted to go for citizenship, I was also running at the time a lot, and I would run by the canal boats, and I wanted a space that was kind of my own. And I just kind of was like, well, hell, I think I can do that. Let's just see how it goes. So, I went and I bought a boat, and
amazing.
Had no idea what I was doing. I had no...
Would you recommend it?
Yes.
Okay.
But, well...
you no longer... It sounds like this is in the past.
It is, and I do miss it. There is a caveat to that. I think you need to be able to embrace a complete, like, being able to shed your lifestyle for a while in a way, because there's things that you're going to be like, "Ooh, what's going on?" Like you're having where your home is also kind of a second job, because you have to maintain that home or it sinks. There's certain things that like you have to do, and you have to be okay with that. But it was lovely. Like I would get off the train and I would walk to the towpath, and then it would be silent. And I just needed that.
Yeah.
I needed to leave Hackney and just have the silent. Or even if I was moored at like Hackney Wick or Central London and it's louder, if you don't like your neighbors, you can literally just like pull up and go. Like you've got a freedom to that.
You didn't have a mooring. You
No. I moved.
had
so
to move.
yeah. So and I had you basically have to move every certain number of days.
Yeah, it's like every month. This is you're my hero now, because it's sort of like a fantasy of mine. I don't think I could actually hack it, to be honest, because just the space or whatever. Or
it's strange though, because then you suddenly begin to acclimatize to the fact that you actually have more space. It's just your home has less. But when you step out of the towpath, you've got all of this
it's
beauty,
like
right there.
Your backyard is.
Yeah, it's massive, and you don't have to take care of it. Like somebody else mows it. You can find flowers everywhere. You can walk wherever you want to walk, and your neighbors are like swans and ducks, and people they come up and hang out, and you have.
They don't like nose into your business or anything.
Oh no, they'll
It's
steal
just
your
like,
breakfast if you leave it
okay,
there.
all
They'll
right,
steal
you're
it,
right.
but it's and people are very giving in a way that you probably would not notice, because most people in London, like, they don't even make eye contact. But on the towpath, your neighbors, like, they're moored there right next to you. So if you need something, you swap things, and there's a whole culture that I think allows people the freedom to just relax in a way that living in flats and they just don't.
But you had to move the boat every so often.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's great. And then, there's people are like, did you have a shower? Like, yes, I had a shower and a toilet. Like, but you have to do things like empty your toilet. You have to be respectful of nature. You have to be respectful of
You can't just empty
the
it
environment.
in the canal.
No, I mean,
I'm sure some do.
I'm sure, but I think, there is a respect for what you are living in, because you are now part of that ecosystem and environment. So, but the idea of like what you use slims down, because you are carrying your trash and recycling. And so, I had a garden on the top of my boat, and COVID was really interesting on the boat. That was probably actually one of the craziest times.
It sounds like a bit of an advantage, though, because while people were stuck in their flats and crawling up the walls, at least you had the outside world, and you didn't have to worry about sort of
any of that. I do think one of the things, if people are considering it, they need to know, mail is a tricky thing. Like I had to get a PO box, and I was actually going through another visa application and citizenship while on the boat.
Okay.
And I was like, look, people, like, if the UK government allows me to have a post office box, like, you need to accept this on an application, because you're off grid. Like, how do you do Wi-Fi? How do you even have a turntable? Which actually you can.
You crank your Victrola.
You can. Oh, actually, I had a pull grinder, like, So lots of things. You can find things. 12-volt batteries. There's a lot of 12-volt books that you can get. And we had a 12-volt turntable, that kind of thing. And solar panels, and how much power can you use? Yeah.
Okay. So during that time, you were on your way to citizenship. Are you dual citizenship, or
I am.
you? Okay, you dual, not revoked. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then, so you were a citizen before you married your husband? I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. I don't know this. Okay.
No. No, I got my citizenship actually when we were already in process to adopt our daughter.
Okay. So you were married, and then
married. And had already gotten our first flat together, although that's very difficult when you're not a citizen to try and buy a house. So those kinds of things are happening.
Yeah, buying a house, adopting, these are all entire other episodes.
Yeah.
When you start a rival podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
No, we'll have you.
These are all the different lives I've led.
I know we should do a real estate episode, but it's
a whole thing.
So boring.
Oh, series. Jeez. Oh, don't even.
It's a whole thing.
I don't even want to think about it.
All right. Thank you so much. Like, that's obviously just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
So let's get into then breaking down the educational
Yeah.
system.
The goodness.
Yeah, I just sort of hope that you could sort of take us through the English system with comparisons and contrasts to the U.S. Maybe from nursery all the way up.
Okay. So it's quite a. So I guess basically the biggest thing right now, having worked in both, is that the U.S. system just in general is it kind of has education that is it promotes like the breadth, the generalization of education. And as we know, you don't anyone who grew up in the U.S. like you don't really choose even like a specialization or a major until university, and even in university, you might suddenly decide this is what you want to do. Yeah.
Doing a liberal arts degree,
Right.
And
Yeah. So the biggest I think difference then here in the UK is that it's much more specialized, much earlier on. So while you're still in secondary school, when you go on to like your A levels, you are already kind of minimizing into your core subjects that you then will utilize to make that choice, so that when you go to university, you go with that intention of this is what I want to be. So that kind of then supports the testing system versus in both countries is a whole nother situation. But primarily in the UK, so some schools have terrific twos. So you'll be going from the time you're two. Some have nurseries. Most have nurseries into reception. Reception is pre-K.
So reception from my money is the equivalent of kindergarten.
Reception would be pre-K.
But everything starts a year earlier here, right?
Yes,
we get the kids into the system officially in reception year, which is age 4 or 5 instead of age 5, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of places in the US do also have pre-K programs.
Right.
So that is similar. But by the time you are ending reception here, there's already the, not expectation, but it has been introduced reading, phonics, the phonics programs that they use. There's the whole like running start. Everything is much more targeted to getting you to a certain level at a certain time. And whereas I think not that the US is much more, because they're still pretty heavily focused on this curriculum, but I think the US is a bit more play-based for a bit longer. It may have changed. Like, this is the other thing, is that when I was there, this is what it was like.
Yeah.
Versus there's been some massive changes just in the past 10 years, but even more massive just in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, or just because of educational trends?
I would say because of bureaucratic bullshit. Can I say that?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can say
yeah.
that. So
no, we like the E on our episodes.
Okay, so I would say because of what happens, with education, unfortunately, it is the first in the line of sight when a new government comes in as to how much they actually value education. And in the U.S., I mean, I feel like in the U.S. definitely education is not valued. Teachers are not as valued as they should be. But they're also the first people, both in the U.S. and the U.K., that bear the brunt of the political changes that are happening. And funding is cut regularly. More initiatives are put in place on teachers without the support behind them. That's like an afterthought most times. And you're just kind of like, the best way I can explain it. So there's a weekly staff meeting at all schools. And at this weekly staff meeting, instead of like, let's look at our achievements, hone in on what we've been doing, look at the positives of those things, what are the things that perhaps need to be tweaked? That doesn't often happen. Usually it's, hey guys, so this week here's a new initiative, and now we're going to start this, and here's another thing you need to do. On top of the things you're already doing, oh, by the way, this is what we're going to be doing with that. It's going to be an ongoing process, and go. And it's difficult because certain schools handle it differently, but for the most part, it's another thing. Sometimes it's that learning of you're tweaking something like vocabulary that you've already been teaching, and now we're teaching it like this. But you really have to go in and be kind of a switch hitter and be like, okay, all right, I'm doing this now. Okay, great. And this is how I have to do it. Go. And that's very difficult. So, there's
And you feel like here
a
things are
lot.
more.
I think the workload here is a lot more
Okay.
because it's one, the way that so in the US you like use worksheets, you do things, and those worksheets normally go home to parents or to the trash can or the special filing cabinet. And then you're planning and you're teaching. Here they use books, and those books are all of the work is kept in those books. Those books then have to be marked every day. And sometimes you have to leave like little comments for the kids to then go back and answer those comments. So I have 30 children in my class. I teach, oh boy, let's see how many subjects. 8. I teach 8 subjects. So, it's 8 times 30. So it's 240 books.
Yeah.
So
just the storage alone.
Right. So on average, like all of those lessons are planned for, all of the work is prepared for every single subject you teach. And then all of those books have to be marked.
Yeah.
So when my British teacher friends say that they can't come to the pub this evening because they're doing marking.
Yes.
It's not that they just don't like me very much.
No.
It is that as well, Mike. Come on.
It's that their head's about to explode because they have to go do this.
That's what they're talking about.
And as a parent at the end of the year, like last year at the end of my daughter's year 1, and they gave us like ka-chunk, this stack of books. And you're like, oh, all her beautiful work. And we really loved flipping through and seeing, all that she'd learned over the course of the year. Because, after school every day when we say like, what did you do at school today? She's like, I don't want to talk about it. I wish you were the type of parent who wouldn't ask me that.
Right.
It's like, okay, great. I'll just wait to the end of the year and then I'll catch up on your education.
Yeah.
I even leaf through the books now, because I'm particularly curious about what they're learning as it compares to what they were learning in America just last year. And I find it quite useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very happy for you guys.
Well, your daughter's in year 1 now.
She is, yeah.
I just remember this. I just want to. You can edit this one out. Like last year, you're such a great friend to have as a parent because like last year when we saw you guys right near the start of the year. The start of the school year, you were like, you're going to see such a big jump in literacy this year.
Yeah, massive.
And I was in my daughter's year 1 year, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. She's an individual. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. And sure enough, she had this massive jump in literacy, which was good for me because I didn't think she was so special when it happened. But it's great. Yeah, it's just great for you to having worked with this range of years to have a real handle on development. Primary school goes up to what year?
Year 6.
And then
you make the jump to secondary school in year 7.
Which will be a different building generally?
Yeah. Okay. So you're in a totally different world.
Yeah. So it's like for us going from elementary to junior high.
Yeah, but
not the same.
But the middle school thing isn't a thing here.
No, it's not. You're just in it.
You're just in it, yeah.
And that's why secondary school is so scary. Yeah. Is because not only are you're suddenly, you were the big fish in a very tiny pond.
Yeah.
And now you go to being a very, very tiny fish because you're in a building. Some secondary schools have 2 buildings. Some it's just 1. And you're in this massive place with kids that are like all the way up to like 17, 18 kind of thing, getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Okay. And so secondary school, at what point then are these students year 7 and up being asked to do that honing to start choosing their...
So you take your GCSEs first.
What's that stand for?
So that's like your general. Yeah, it's your
stupid.
No. Keep going. I just want to see what you guys are coming up with.
General secondary curriculum education. I'm just saying words and see what sticks.
General curriculum.
No.
Super educated.
You're so close. Okay. So it's basically the general certification of secondary education.
Oh, okay.
So you guys were all pretty much...
You said all of all of those words at one point, but never in that order.
Gold star for you guys. You got it. So that's going to be like... Yeah. Good job for you guys. So that's basically, it's like year 10, year 11 is basically when you're taking your GCSEs.
Okay.
And then after that, you'll then begin to like hone in on subjects before you'll do your A-levels or your like advanced levels that you're going to be learning about. And I mean, so those there's no real equivalent in the U.S. That you're doing. So I think I made a note that I think this is excluding Scotland, but it's like age like 16 to 18
Okay.
here that they'll be doing their A levels.
The A levels, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And A levels. Just talk to me like I'm an idiot, like I haven't prepared for my daughter's future.
Yeah. Those are your advanced levels that you're going to be using in order to get into university.
Oh, so the A stands for advanced.
Yes.
Advanced
Levels.
I didn't know that.
So the closest thing in the U.S., I can't
Like,
find my note
is
on
it
this,
like
but
AP?
it's basically
like how
AP
many
courses.
AP classes?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically AP courses.
Okay, and this is where students will choose how many advanced levels to pursue.
Well, you'll kind of decide you're going to hone in on what you want to do
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
Blee.
I know, right? And then those
age
particular
16.
courses will be what you'll be using. I mean, so did you guys ever read Harry Potter?
Yes.
Wow, he says. Okay, well, there's a whole section in that when Harry becomes a certain age where he takes all of the classes that he needs to become an Auror. And for any Harry Potter fans, there you go.
Yeah.
And like that's what these guys are doing. They're taking the classes that they need in order to then take it. But then those A-level tests, it's a very high-stakes test. I mean, these kids go crazy over it. I mean, and as they should. Like, it's kind of a do-or-die situation where then they're taking specific tests to match the courses that they're taking to go into university in that field.
Yeah. My eldest, he's starting the GCSE thing.
Yeah.
And they have various rounds of what they call mocks.
Yes.
And this was a new concept to me, but I guess it just sort of underlines sort of the testing focused nature of this whole thing. Because I did go up to the deputy head teacher and I said, "Excuse me, I'm American. I'm not familiar with this system. My wife is somehow abandoned me at this parents' evening. She's just hung me out to dry here. When you say mocks, you mean they don't count, right?" And he's like, yes, that's right. They don't count. But, and then he explained to me the whole sort of process behind it. But it is very focused on the tests.
It is. I mean, that starts in year 6. So in year 6, they take the SATs tests. And the SATs tests there's mock tests leading up to that to gauge how well you're going to do on that test. I mean, it is also to kind of get the children prepared for what it will feel like to take that test because it's traumatic for a lot of kids, like you're talking age 10, like begin to lose sleep over things and they're worried about the test. And it's a very high pressure, it's a week-long test that these kids are being put through.
Yeah, some of the kids
really
in
difficult.
my and kids vary. And some of them are
do.
good test takers, and others. I mean, my son's school when he was taking those, were definitely freaking out about it.
Yeah. We would have our week of standardized tests in the U.S. in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
And of course that led to lots of controversy about who's writing these tests and what are their biases.
It's still controversial now. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember. I don't remember stressing out about them. Maybe because I was one of the kids who was like, yeah, I got this, but like.
Yeah, I mean, there's the tests now, like when they take the tests still in the United States, most of those then help them know what like high school they'll get into. The thing about the SATs test here, which I find amusing, I guess, is the fact that most of the kids in year 6 have already applied for a secondary school. Before they even take the SATs tests. So there used to be the line of like, oh, your SATs test will help determine what secondary school you get. That's not really a thing.
Okay.
So most kids have already applied and either gotten into that or not based on other things. So yeah, I find that kind of interesting. Most testing in general, I think it's really just for the school to be granted funding.
Yeah.
That's what it really is for.
How do we rank schools?
How do we rank schools?
Yeah. Ofsted is a acronym that maybe we should or shouldn't get into, but this is a big thing. And Ofsted has recently changed how they grade and how they tag schools.
Yeah.
Ofsted open for super taxing educational disappointment.
Great. That sounds. It's bang on right there. It's really. Mm-hmm.
Okay. They inspect your schools and give them ratings, and
it's like the sanitation thing on a restaurant. Whether you've been given the 5, no, it's not.
It's not. But it is. It is one of the ongoing, I think, discussions that needs to be with education of how do you rate your teachers? How do you make sure they're doing what they're doing? But also then how do you rate a school? You know, how do you go in and say that these teachers and this head teacher and the systems they put in are working for the children? And that's, I think, what it was originally for. Like, how do you rate this so that people walking down the street go, man, that's a great school, versus, ooh, I need to avoid that. They're going through changes. Well, we put up banners that say we are a good school or we are an excellent school. But Ofsted has changed, thankfully, because they would go and they would evaluate a school, rate it excellent, and then not come back for a really long time. And a school can change in a heartbeat depending on who the leadership is, who the teachers are. And I think that's a very difficult thing for parents, especially as a parent now, rating schools. You see a school that's good, that might actually still not be a good fit for your kid.
Right.
And that's what I think parents need to be aware of, but especially like American parents coming into a British system.
Yeah.
You need to go in and kind of just be like, look, this is the blueprint of my child. However, it's a blueprint. So they can either like have a really great experience or they can have a really shitty one. And it's all going to be dependent on how your teachers and how your staff like manage things. And that's something that Ofsted can't really gauge.
Okay.
So I find Ofsted useful for a lot of people who want to see what the school is. But ultimately, like as parents, you still need to go in and say, can I talk to people?
Yeah.
Like, can I see what's going on?
Yeah.
Just because you don't know the fit.
Choosing our primary school, we were lucky to have a lot of schools, just a large number of schools in the area to choose from, and we we're allowed to rank choice like up to 6 schools.
Yeah.
And then based on geography, based on siblings, they'll place your kid in one of those schools. But we did, these schools are used to having these open days and interviews, so we came in and met people and saw facilities, and I as an American were like, what is this RE? Why is there so much religion?
So much religion.
But it's, I mean, like,
I actually like RE in the
UK.
UK.
No, I like it. Like, when my child last year was telling me like Hindu myths, these crazy violent Hindu myths, I was like, is this cool? I was like, it's no more weird than, some of the Christian stories that were, just downloaded in America in my youth.
Old Testament.
Yeah.
Right. But it's one of the things that I wish the US did, actually, because I feel like there would be a
as
lot
far as
less.
tolerance.
Yeah,
totes.
exactly. Because, it's interesting that kids in my class now are like, oh, so we're kind of all the same. We just read different books. And I was like, yep, that's where you go, man. And I think that's something that this country does really well, is because there is so much diversity that's like acknowledged diversity rather than the other. So
it's diversity, but let's not talk about it.
Right. I mean, it's hard. It's like most Americans just sigh when they're like, oh, okay. But I think here it's a very, it's becoming more and more open in the education system, and RE kind of does that, which I appreciate. It's one of my favorite subjects to teach, actually. So,
okay. So then, skipping forward, one thing I just love is though I'm sure it's not fantastic for every student who's finishing their A-levels and heading into university, but I do love the sort of the national media every year. A-level results day is like this thing that is reported on and celebrated. And
should be a national holiday.
And we see, and and you'll, hey, I'm here with Tanya, who's like weeping with joy. They never interview the kids whose A-levels haven't gone so well.
No. But the one thing I will say also in this country that I appreciate when you go into secondary school is that the apprenticeship programs that are available, like there are a lot of children that, they know from a young age, this is what I want to be, an electrician. I want to do this. I want to do this. And that's valued, in this country. It's like, yeah, you want to be an apprenticeship, you want to go do these things, please go do that.
And they start, those people won't necessarily do A-levels.
Maybe not. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be doing.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. And there might be like a good friend of mine she's also American. Her son doesn't want to go to university. He wants to be an electrician, but his grand design is to be an electrician. And his brother wants to be a plumber, and then they want to start their own business and be able to take care of like everything.
That sounds great.
Exactly. And I was like, you guys know exactly what you want to do. And
now you just need a marketing person.
Right. And please go do that, because one, everybody always needs that. You know what I mean? And so I think that's and they started doing apprenticeships in secondary school.
Do you feel like that's better than like the U.S. system of vocational schools, which I feel like, at least in my community, sort of had a stigma attached to it?
I think they still do.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a thing. Like one of my students wants to be a gardener. And he asks me all the time. I mean, he's year 3, but he's like, I really want to be a gardener. And he loves plants. And he comes in every day, and sometimes he brings me plants. And he was like, Can I be a gardener? I'm like, yes, you can. He goes, could I own one of those places where people come and buy things? And I was like, it's called a nursery. Yes, you could. And I mean, I think he's kind of dealing with already, he says it to his family, and his family's like, okay. But he has already.
What about being a botanist?
Right? Yeah. But already at year 3, he was like, can I get a job working to learn about plants? I'm like, yes, you can. So, I mean, it's really interesting that children, I think, are also branching out. I'm sure they do in the U.S. as well, but sometimes you're right. There is a bit of a stigma around that. Like, go to university, go and do this. Yeah. You're like, well, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah. I guess some other differences. You are addressed as Miss.
I am.
Despite your marital status, you are Miss.
I'm a Miss.
And other people are Sir.
Yep. Miss and Sir is a general respectful
I like that trend. You know,
my kids' primary school, they are just called by their first name. So this is just this is the aesthetics that my school has chosen.
I think that there are more progressive schools that are doing these things, but in both countries. Some friends of mine that still teach in Chicago are like, hey, we've made the switch to be called by our first name. And I was like, cool, that sounds great. You know, even when I taught in Chicago, they would call me Miss Gann. They always were astounded that I had a first name. I mean, they're 5, so they're like, "Oh, you've got a first name, and you don't sleep here. That's amazing."
Whenever you found out your teacher's first name, it
right.
was like the secret.
It was
huge.
Like, I know. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Also, when they see you outside of school, they're like, "She's real." You know, she, you know, that whole thing.
Senior
but
especially when you're at
in
the
the
pub.
wild.
Yeah. But here, you know, there is a Miss, there is Sir. You know, that's what you call people.
And the uniform thing too.
Yeah.
It is standard that there is a uniform.
Yeah.
They are very
rigid.
They're very rigid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
scratchy,
absolutely.
You mean?
They're very scratchy.
Too.
They're usually made out of polyester, the cheapest, lowest grade of polyester.
Yep.
They are. Well, you know, when you get to secondary school, some schools are very, very strict in terms of the. Pages of rules about how you should wear this, and you get detention if you do.
All the way to like hair
colored
things for
socks and stuff.
For girls. I mean, actually, that starts in primary school. Yes,
I feel like it's these teenagers are starting to feel their oats a little bit more, and they're starting to realize that they're quite intelligent, and so we need to bring them down a notch by making them look as silly as possible with like real weird colored blazers and short ties and
But the short skirts, have you seen the level of the skirts? I mean, come on. Like this is pretty intense.
It's no bueno.
Okay, so in the U.S., even when I was teaching there were whole things, especially in the area that I was teaching in, that, this was Southside Chicago at one point in time, and we actually considered uniforms for lots of reasons. One, because you always know what you're going to wear in the morning, and for most of the population that I taught, it was a poor community, and so they were like, look, if we do uniforms, one, they're recognized as part of our school. Kids aren't competing with different types of clothes. They aren't having to wear like name brand things.
Mean Girls isn't
all that
right.
stuff.
Yeah. Things aren't getting stolen. Everyone's coming to school on an even playing field. And if parents buy 3 sets of uniforms, and that's pretty much what they don't have to worry about it. So it takes a lot of the stigma of where you come from and your societal ranking out.
I'm pro uniforms. I just wish we put a little bit more thought into the design.
Well, okay. Design aside, I'm not sure if you like choose a school being like, ooh, they have green blazers. Let's go there, you know. But
parents in our neighborhood, our particular school has no blazer. Yeah. And just a sweater. And this is contentious for some people. Yeah. Because there's other schools in the area that have very complicated
ties.
You know, ties, blazers or whatever. And I've always been astonished at the sort of like snobbery, I suppose, that develops around this kind of thing?
I think that's a part of it. Like my daughter, we did at one point in time try and switch her schools, because we moved to a new neighborhood and we wanted her to have friends in the neighborhood. And the school that they went to was like very. I mean, she was going in. She's 5 at the time that she moved. She was 5 years old. They were like, "Here's the tie. You have to wear a collared shirt. It has to have buttons. You have to have a certain color of tights, a certain color of socks, this particular type of shoe. Any hair things had to be this particular color." And it was like, whoa,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
stress
And
inducing.
and we got
for
notes
everybody.
home, and my daughter, like many children, has some sensory needs, and the idea of like putting a constricting thing around your neck was like a battle every morning,
Oh.
to the point where I took the elastic off and just sewed it to the shirt so it would like be part of it so she didn't have to put it around her neck. Like, there's things that very difficult when you've got little people and they have, their own sensory decisions about how they're going to dress. You're like, oh my God, this is so hard. But even uniforms, there's also still it's difficult. Like if your uniforms aren't clean or if you don't have a certain number of them, and yes, they are scratchy materials, but they're also ridiculously expensive. And so parents need to be able to kind of wiggle around that expense. Otherwise, it does just become another money-making kind of bureaucratic snobby thing that is supposed to elevate your children, but really they should just be learning. So let's get over that.
Yeah.
It's another one of those tricky hurdles. And as a parent, parents will come to me saying they lost their jumper. I'm like, I'm really sorry. Did you put your name in it? Like, I don't know what to tell you. So it's a hard thing.
Yeah, schools. My kid's school has a uniform rail, which is like an
Yep.
ongoing thing of like, hey, I've outgrown these. I'm going to donate them to the
Yes.
uniform
Yes.
rail.
Or
so
the
that-
lost and found. You go in there at the end of the year and you pick up
just-
everything.
you
End
just
of the
take
year.
whatever you can.
You
get.
guys, it's like end of the week. I mean, we roll out a cart because these kids will just be like, they've got their cardigans and it's hot and they just like
Yeah,
toss
just
it.
shucking it.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's also difficult because it gets so hot in our schools, and these kids, they're just wearing a lot. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard being a kid.
So are there any? This is like I've got a lot of bullet points and we've touched on a lot of things, but I know you had some things. You had some notes
yeah,
prepared. Like if you wanted to highlight any big differences in curriculum or
yeah.
advantages for one nation versus another, anything,
I mean,
go for it.
I think kind of the interesting thing is we kind of talked about most of these things, about kind of the breakdown of what you have to do and where you go and the testing and things like that. I mean, it is interesting that in both countries, like the world rankings that we have, which you can decide how much you value those. But, like the UK, I think, is like 13th, but the US is 31st.
Okay.
And they're usually always kind of below the top 10.
Okay.
The curriculum over here is interesting because, like most curriculum that is designed, be it the US or the UK, one of the main differences for the UK curriculum is that you have this very top-down curriculum, which kind of still expects children to be a very specific way. It doesn't actually match the kids at all and doesn't really allow for children to explore education and to explore their own pace of learning. It moves very, very fast. And so like my timetable is ridiculous. It's like to the minute. And if you think about just us as adults, like in a basic day, right? About how much input do you guys hourly think you could handle? Like how many hours of input do you guys think that you could realistically handle?
Like within a
Within a 6-hour period.
I struggle to remember sort of like 5 things that I need to go
okay.
to this grocery store.
Yeah. So
we're overloading kids.
our children.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because you think so they start school at 8:45, they walk in. At 9 o'clock, it's their first lesson. It does not stop until 3.
Yeah.
And at 3, it's pack up and go home. So they might have that break time in the middle of like 45 minutes to run around at lunchtime. But ultimately, after lunch, you're coming in at, let's say, 1 o'clock, and then you're learning 2 pretty heavy subject areas in the afternoon again, regardless of your age. And I think it's a lot to put on children as an overload. and there's no time for like wiggle room because teachers have felt the pressure of timing. Like you have to get these things done. It has to move. But then you've got actual little people in front of you who are taking in all of that information, and they have their own agendas about how much they actually need and how much they can handle. So you've got a teacher being incredibly overloaded, but having to meet an agenda because they have to answer to someone else who expects these things to get done. And you've got children who are the conduit for this. So you're just going, and some days they can't handle it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you brought up because your daughter was like, why are you asking me how my day is? Is that I find it funny because, and this is just from a parent, but also a teacher, is that imagine you've been bombarded with information for almost 6 hours, and then you go home, and the first thing your parents, and this is what all parents do, how was your day? Tell me about your day.
Yeah.
And they're like,
what did you learn today?
I cannot handle anymore some adult asking me a question. And so it's really interesting. So it's funny now, because when I do talk to a lot of parents, I'm like, maybe just say, tell me your favorite part of today.
Yeah.
Or like, how did you feel at lunch today? Or, just something, or, random questions that you're still talking to them, but allowing that like decompression. Because that's what schools don't do in the UK. There is no decompression at all. It is go, 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 which is why one of the other things teachers are now being asked to do is be a regulator. Like you're having to not just teach, not just be the nurse or welfare, not just like take care of social emotional stuff. You are an emotional regulator and a model of emotional regulation. And while also being a taskmaster to like get these things done within a certain amount of time. And the system doesn't allow you to stop and go, we're not going to do this today. I mean, I still do. Don't tell anybody as a podcast. But there are moments like in my class that I'll look at them and go, guys, this lesson is not going very well. I don't like the way I'm teaching it because I feel that it's being rushed. So I'm not going to do this right now.
Being able to pivot is
you have to be able to do it. But
skill.
A lot of even new teachers that are coming into the UK system, there is no I have to pivot. Like they are hit with something, and it's very difficult to manage the behaviors that are coming out while also teaching. Those are two separate entities, and the UK just assumes kids will still be like,
yes, miss.
Yes, miss, but they don't. Very rarely will they say yes, miss. So you need to build that. One thing the US does is relationships. And there's a lot of still building on those relationships, whereas I think the UK just assumes kids are kind of like, I will do whatever you say, miss, and stand when you enter the room, miss. And you're like, that is not how things are anymore.
Yeah.
Like in education at all. Like kids are kids, but they're also being bombarded with a lot. I know I'm sorry, I'm waffling a bit, but like they're bombarded with so much input even before they walk through the building. So it's become a different world than even like 10 years ago.
Oh, maybe I'll just sell my kid. It sounds like too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, like, one of the things in school culture is other people's children, like having to interface and
Yep.
show interest in just as a parent with parent peers. Again, pop and peas. And so I just shout out, Emily, to you and to all teachers to have to professionally deal with other people's kids all the time. And
Yeah.
I got a play date and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this kid, as well as my kid.
Oh, thanks, Pat. I do think the funny thing is that most of the time, and most teachers would say that the burnout does not come from their actual job. Like, for me, I don't believe that my burnout comes from, like, I love my vocation. I love being a teacher. I love being in my classroom with my kids. The burnout comes from a system that doesn't support teachers. And that's the burnout.
How can we start to, like, is there something that us as individuals, parents, citizens can do in our communities to support teachers more, to support our schools more, to yeah.
I just think like open communication and understanding. I think like there's the community has been taken out of schools, which ultimately it needs to be brought back into schools because teachers need to understand that parents are under pressure. Like you go home. For me as a parent, my kid doesn't do a lot of homework at night. Probably shouldn't have said that either, but like because by the time she gets home and when we get home, it's like 5:30 at night. She goes to sleep around 7:15, but she's also had a long day.
Yeah.
So like asking a 6-year-old to like, let's sit down and do your spelling. Parents have a lot on their plate as well. And teachers need to understand that blaming parents for a lack of practicing things at home is probably not the fairest thing to do.
Yeah.
Like parents have a lot on. And parents have their own situations with multiple jobs or single parent homes or just wanting to be with their kids at night, like, just hanging out, having a good time. Likewise, teachers have so much on their plate that I think sometimes parents aren't aware that that's also happening.
Right.
It's
Or
just,
that they are a person.
we're people. And so when things happen a lot too, it's kind of like my favorite thing is when there is an issue and a parent will come up and say, well, this couldn't have happened with my kid. Like, I totally get where you're coming from. However, I didn't wake up this morning and decide to make up something about your kid. Like, I've got so many things going on that
My evil plan.
right.
Yeah.
Like, I have, I have no horse in this race. Like, this is what happened. This is what's going to happen. And I don't mean anything bad about that, but that's just how it is. Going back to the US UK thing, I do have to kind of curb that a lot with parents because it comes out, I think, sometimes quite abruptly. Whereas I'm just like, this is the situation. This is how I'm dealing with it. End of story. Tomorrow's a new day. So come back in. We deal with it another day. We do something different. Yeah. So I don't really mince words a lot. And I think going back to your original question, I think just that communication, being able to understand like that each other are just trying to do the best for this person that happens to be the child in front of us.
Yeah.
It all goes back to the kids. So, yeah.
Fabulous.
I hope any of that made sense
It
for you
did.
guys.
No, it's good. And it's interesting, like, how are Americans coming here with kids as their work moved them, and they had, like, Mike, when you went to, well, I guess you went to the States with pre-existing kids with a pre-existing condition.
Kids.
But sometimes people will move to the UK with kids, or like Emily, move here and then start a family. So yeah, it's a lot to navigate because we've been institutionalized one way.
Right.
And even though we can make these comparisons, they are not one-to-one, and so you do need to rewire.
I think many listeners will, well, even if they aren't parents, might be potential parents in the future, and might have some help at home, having a British spouse or partner or co-parent, whatever it might be. But on the other hand, having, I'm now sort of, like I say, my eldest is in year 10. I'm still like learning about the British educational system.
And it changes.
And new things every day.
Yeah. So when a new political system comes in, education will change. I mean, right now there's also, like just with what's coming in, there's a new push on SEND. The white papers are coming out, just basically saying like the whole way that you view special education in schools is now going to be completely revamped. And so that's another thing that it's hard for parents to know what their rights are if they have children with special needs. And that's very different than in the US.
And it's a real battleground too, with
It's
like political
massive.
implications.
Yeah. Here you've really got to, I would say for anybody who is potentially going to be a parent or is already a parent that's an American, one of the main things is if you have a child with special needs to like get in there and continue to ask, because there are a lot of different acronyms. There's a lot of different pathways to be taken. There's just a lot. And schools can provide certain things, but you've got to know the ins and outs of that. And the only way to do that is to kind of just knock on the doors.
Yeah, I think that's really like pretty good. And doing the research, I suppose, is important too.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose one of the things is that because it is all centralized, and obviously you talked about why the shortcomings of Ofsted, but it does provide sort of like information in a fairly central way that is, I won't call it easy to understand, but for a parent to sort of navigating this kind of stuff, the information's out there if you want it.
Yeah, and I don't think Ofsted, I mean, I take it from a teacher's perspective, but from a parent's perspective, one of the schools that we eventually chose at one point in time, my daughter's back at my school now, but was the Ofsted report, and just looking at it and looking at past Ofsteds and how the school has changed. Like, it is a tool. So I think that it should not be overlooked. It's just from a teacher's perspective, you go, oh, Ofsted, oh my gosh. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for giving us that primer.
Yeah.
Primer?
Premiere.
How do we say it? How do we say it in British?
Primer.
Primer.
Emily, we might need to have you back for any number of topics down in the future, but this has been really great. Thank you for making it all the way to Dalston for this today.
Happy to come and chat with you guys.
Remind our listeners of the email, Matt.
Yeah, so if you want to give us a comment or present us a topic or say, hey, I got a cousin who'd be a really great guest, our email address is colddarkmiserablepod, colddarkmiserablepod@gmail.com. And don't forget to do all the nice things that you would do when you listen to a podcast. And we are on YouTube as well with more YouTube shorts on the way.
Can I say one last thing?
Please.
Because I've got a microphone in front of me. Just a shout out to all the teachers out there. Be them American or British. And the fact that American teachers are already on summer holidays.
Wow.
But British teacher, we've got 6 weeks left. 6 weeks.
Wow.
And you can do it. We've got this.
Longer year, more breaks. This is another thing for me to get used to as well as a parent. I'm like, well, we just half term. We just had Easter holidays.
Right. Another week to fill their minds with video games
activities and camps.
Yeah.
And all of that half-term homework that we send home, right, guys?
I mean, I don't not at my school here too, but I'm looking forward to it. This is my thing with my daughter is like, homework is going to be a part of your life. You should start to enjoy it now. I was like, what?
I know.
Wow.
I don't really believe in homework, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
Mike, did you know that I did some education in my past?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this will work week on week, but I have like a little musical story time as a potential theme to
like
present.
Based on your own experience?
Based on my own experience. It's a true story.
Wow.
You're
gonna try it out now?
I'm gonna try it out.
Getting ready.
I'm gonna try it out now.
All right.
If I could. I did try educating in the past, but I'm not doing that now, obviously. So, but I want to harken back to another an American actor in a tough London school trying to educate kids, and this musical story is going to make me look great. So, are you ready?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun, bling. Dun 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 dun. 2009. New to England and needing work part-time. Supply teaching gig. Got my DBS check, but zero training with special needs kids. First day on playground duty. Sir, are you American? Do you know Kanye West? A bully pantster kid, I tried to intervene. Hey, I saw you. You pulled his pants down. No, I didn't. I pulled his trousers down. The kids all laughed. I said, you know what I mean. If you wanted my help, you should not have been such little dicks. 6. So after that one shift, I quit from Sir with barely concealed contempt. Doom, 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 doom.
Wow. Way to go.